Of Millennial Money Matters with Kelly Turner
and Derek Mazzarella.
Derek. So today, just for context, as we're recording this, it is pouring outside.
Yep.
It's like a monsoon. It's been pouring or snowing for weeks on end now.
This has been awful. You know how I know it's awful? I have solar on my roof, and the amount of energy we're building up now and like this month in March has been like a third of what it was last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and my favorite thing was this morning, my son walks out and he goes, "Are we going to have school today?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, it's like raining really hard." I was like, "This is how conditioned you are that the weather's terrible." They're like, "Are we going to have school today?" Of course we're going to have school today.
Rain.
It's raining out.
Kids today.
Speaking of rain, what are we talking about today?
Speaking of rain, smooth transition. We are talking about.
It is one though, when we get into the context of some of this.
Yeah. All right. We are going to talk about the actual cost of homeownership. Most people just, I think you've ever talked to any person, especially older generations. I bought my house in 1981 for $62,000 and now it's worth $2 million and I'm rich. Yeah. They didn't talk about any of the other costs.
And why is rain the good segue into that? Because flooding,
yeah.
Sump pumps. There's a lot of parts to your house and people sometimes don't even realize what parts there are in their house that can break.
Well, I mean, that's a good point because we bought our house in 2020. We went through a full inspection. It was like 3-4 hours. You're like, oh my God, this is going to take forever. And I think maybe a month or two into our house, moving in there, we had our water in the basement and we had a bunch of pipes. I had the plumber come like 6 or 7 times because apparently we have acidic water and really thin pipes.
Oh.
Which is an awesome combo. And it kept happening. Finally, we got a water filtration thing that took off the acidity and that solved the problem. But these are things that never came up in the inspection.
And you've owned before. Did they ever come up in the other place that you owned?
No, I never had these issues. Yeah. It was an older house. The first house we bought is a triple decker in Boston, but it was from 1860.
Oh my God.
It is old.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that you don't even contemplate. And I think a lot of home buyers, on my end, they have this money saved to buy a house, right? You have this money saved to buy a house. Like, this is my down payment. This is my closing costs. And they will try to give me all the money.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm always like, okay, I want your money, right? Obviously, that's what I do. I want your money. I want to give you the lowest down payment possible or the highest down payment possible to get you the lowest mortgage payment.
Right.
But I also need us to contemplate the unknowns, the things that are going to happen in your house that you don't expect, that we don't know about. And truthfully, I think the biggest message in all of this is you should expect it.
Yeah.
You should expect it. You should expect every single year that maintaining your home should cost a certain amount of money.
Absolutely. I mean, when we bought our house here in Connecticut, I had a little Excel sheet after the inspection, and you're probably gonna make fun of me for that again.
Mm-hmm, yes.
But it was like, all right, here's all the things that he thinks are old and will break. Like one of them was our garage door opener. It's from 1983. It's the original one. It's still working. But it was not the thing that broke. It was our pipes.
It was your pipes.
Right? So I think that's the thing is you can anticipate as many things as you want. Something else is going to happen that you don't see.
Yeah. Well, and actually, really funny story. On Wednesday of this week, I'm getting new garage doors.
Are you? Nice.
I am. For that reason, mine were from 1994.
Yeah.
And they have been contemplating their death for a few years now. And a few months ago, I pulled in the driveway, hit the button, and they go like,
yeah,
and then stop. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I hit the button again and they come up and then dropped to the ground. And I was like, oh no.
Oh, that's not great.
The cable snapped, sprung.
Oh, yeah. That happened to us in December.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy tried real hardcore to sell us on the spot, like an $8,000 door. I was like, whoa. I just need my wife to get out of this store here. That's all I want right now.
No, Corey and I were finally like, all right, it's done. We've been staring at these garage doors for 15 years. We're going to get rid of them. But I think having the spreadsheet, you've known as long as you've owned the house that the garage doors are going to need to be replaced at some point.
Yeah. And I mean, luckily it's been 6 years and they're still working. So I'm going to keep letting it ride because there's been other things that have come up.
Like your pipes that you didn't expect.
Like the pipes. With that, we had our HVAC, because we had 2 HVAC systems. One of those broke within 2 years. It's just things that, looked fine in the inspection that just ended up going.
Yeah. And I think age has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
So, people do need to remember when you're buying a house, 90% of you are buying used houses that someone else was in charge of the maintenance, number one. And number two, everything in the house is of varying ages. You don't know how old the furnace is, how old the hot water heater is, how old the oil tank is. You can guess. Sometimes there's records, sometimes there's not.
Yeah.
And you do have to know that every single one of those items will need to be replaced at some point.
Yeah. And you don't know how well the previous owner took care of that stuff either. Were they a neglector? Were they the person that like every year I'm going to get this inspected and changed and whatever filtered, cleaned and whatever jazz, right?
The other thing is also knowing the parts of your house. So do you have a septic tank? Do you have a well? Do you have an air conditioning system? Do you have mini splits? Do you have a bubble up machine, a radon mitigation machine, a water softener? Every house has a different combination of these things.
Yeah, and when you want to look at it, it's like some things are, when you look, because we have like a septic well, right? So that's like on us to maintain. We don't have the monthly payment like you would. So there's different kind of ways you would build in the cost of those things. So like if you have city sewer, you're building in a monthly cost because you're paying for that as you use it. Whereas we have a filter system every year, we have to kind of change out the filter. And that's like $1,100. Okay, so now I know, okay, maybe I budget $100 a month for that, right? So a lot of that stuff you have to kind of think about, okay, what is the maintenance cycle of these things? And is it going to be a big capital improvement? Like, do we need to replace our septic in 5 years? Okay, maybe we should start saving some money into it.
Yeah. So you've got some stats there. You want to share us some of your magic stats that you have about home ownership?
Yeah, I mean, I have too many on here, but well, I think one of the things I would say for most people when they're buying a house, you probably think you've walked through the house and you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to renovate the bathroom, and that's probably the only cost you're thinking of, right? I'm sure you probably experienced that with me, but like, I need to save some money because I need to redo X, Y, Z thing, right? But more likely, the one thing that kind of surprised me is like there's a 1% rule out there for maintenance costs. So the assumption is that 1% of the home value you're going to be spending per year on just maintenance stuff.
That seems low to me.
Well, so all right. So the example I have here is your home is worth $415,000 because that's about the average price of a national home. So that's $4,100 basically a year. Bank rate, so it's actually twice that. So the average maintenance is about $8,800 a year on a home.
That's actually the number that feels a little more accurate to me.
I'd agree with that one. Yeah. And like I had a move-in ready house. Like everything was kind of renovated and fixed up, like kind of janky, but it was still like I didn't need to redo a kitchen or anything like that. And yeah, there's just a lot of it depends on the size of the house too, right? So a bigger house is going to have more issues, an older house is going to have more issues, how they maintain it. Like all this is variable. But yeah, it's definitely like more than people think. I think that's the problem. So if you're going there with a 1% rule, you're probably going to be mistaken.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think we also have to remember that these sort of costs fall into two buckets. So there is the replacement emergency bucket, right? So things that you have to replace that have broken, that whatever. So there's that. Then we also are talking about just the cost of home ownership that people don't necessarily realize. So when you're buying a house, you're not necessarily looking at your landscaping saying, oh, those are some very intricate landscaping, flower beds that I now need to pay to maintain. Yeah. Oh, this house has a lot of mulch and I now need to buy mulch. Oh, this yard is large and I need to mow it. The driveway needs to be plowed or snow blown. That's the stuff that like is the daily things in your house that when you are initially purchasing a home, you're not necessarily looking at. You're like, oh, I like this house. This is what the mortgage payment is. But you don't necessarily think about all of the other like maintenance pieces on the reg.
Yeah. I mean, it gets a lot. And I mean, I was kind of telling you that before we started, but most people are coming from a rental spot, and most people on average, so like I looked up some stats on rental sizes. So most people are renting either a 1 or 2 bedroom house or condo, whatever you want to call it, about 1,000 square feet, 1,100 square feet. About 7% of people have a 3 bedroom or more at over 1,600 square feet. The average house is about 1,800 to 2,000. So a couple of things are happening. A, you're probably not maintaining a lawn at all, right? So I went from Boston where we had no land. We had zero, no grass. I had to buy a lawnmower. I had to buy a snowblower. I had to be like, oh, do we have to call a lawn guy? What does that entail? Yeah. Oh, that's a couple $100 every other month or whatever it was. We need to, we have a, garden bed. Like, I got to maintain that. Now I got to get a hedge trimmer. It's like all these things, or you have to pay someone to do that. All these things that you're not used to doing because you have never done it before, right? So there's also a pretty big capital expenditure because you're buying the lawnmower, you're buying a snowblower, you're buying all the tools you can possibly get. You're buying a leaf blower. You're like, oh, cool. Like now I'm turning into my dad. This is awesome. And it just happens as part of it. And you've got to kind of build that in. I saw an interesting stat here about like we're in Connecticut. So the Northeast is almost 2 times as much as costly to maintain a home than some Southern states.
I can definitely, between the snow, which
Yeah.
is like, and snow is two things. It's not only the removal of the snow, but it's sort of the detriment of the snow on your belongings. So like
Yeah.
that's the other piece of the snow is like a rough winter is very rough on your house. It's rough on your lawn. You know, if it snows too much, like I was looking at my lawn literally yesterday, all of the snow melt we had created like a river through my lawn.
Yeah, mine
and
did too.
now there's this like mud river that the grass is all dead. And so it's not only that we had to pay for snow removal, but we also are going to have to pay either with time or money to repair the damage to the lawn from the snow.
Yeah. And that's a cost you probably weren't thinking about
No.
going into it. Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many different nuanced, like little things that you never think about that add up over time. And it just happens. A lot of it's just the maintenance stuff. A lot of it's smaller, but it just keeps going every month because you have a different season, a different need for the house. It's either inside or maybe it's outside in the summertime. You know, maybe you're getting a grill. You never had a grill before. Like it's even like little things like that. You don't think about, but that's part of the cost of homeownership.
Yeah. And I think the thing to remember of you may be going, why would I buy a home then? Right? Why would I not let the landlord pay for all these things? Why don't I stay a renter? Well, there's a reason why the landlord is still owning your home is because it's still financially beneficial to own the home. You're still going to gain more in equity than you are going to lose most likely in what you're paying for these things. So it's not, I'm wasting money on this is not the problem. It's actually just preparation. Preparation is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. For a lot of people, when you know, no offense to mortgage people, but they're like, hey, you can get, what's the top, it's like 35% of your 40. How much can you get?
You don't really want to know.
Well, what is it? It's
so you can use for most loan programs up to 50% of your gross
50.
income
Is that going up? I feel like it was always in the 40s.
of all your bills and your new mortgage.
Yeah, that's insane.
It is
So yeah, a mortgage company will say, hey, you can have a $2 million house. You should not have a $2 million house,
Nope.
madam or sir. And that's one of the problems is because you think you can afford this because a company that has in like, oh, because we don't want these loans to default, obviously. So they're saying you can afford this. You're thinking, okay, great. But then you buy probably a bigger house and then now there's more maintenance. And then the other things are utilities. I mean, we should probably get into that a little bit because if you're going from 1,000 square foot home to a 2,000 square foot home, your utilities are going up a good amount.
Yeah. And even on the utility standpoint is you have to know what kind of utilities you have, right? Is people always like to dig on oil heat, right? And oil is kind of that's a very New England situation. A lot of the rest of the country does not use oil to heat their homes. We use oil. You think oil's expensive. Electric heat here in New England.
We had electric heat in my condo in Boston. Oh my God. Yeah. It was like $300 a month for an 800 square foot place.
Yeah.
So,
And people don't we poo on oil. Like, oh, oil is so expensive. No, you don't actually.
You have no idea.
But if you've never owned a home before and you tour a home, you love it, it's beautiful, they say it has electric heat, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, my big shock. So I'll personal story here. We closed on our house January 15th and they pushed up our closing by 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, sure. They'll give us 2 weeks to kind of move in and get everything ready. And I didn't really understand why they were so like anxious to move out because they were already out. They've been out for months. So they're just carrying all the heat and all that stuff. And then I got we used propane. My first bill was like $800. I was like, oh my God, what is this?
What is this?
Yeah, I've never paid. I'm like, what do we do about this? This is crazy. Like, you know,
what do we do about this?
We're going to be
like,
at 62
nothing.
degrees. I know there's nothing you do about it because the size of the house is so much bigger than you were used to.
You get used to it. And we keep our heat in our house at 60 degrees. And I'm like, put a sweatshirt on.
Yeah, suck it up.
Welcome to New England. Put a sweatshirt on. All right, let's talk about this kind of in segments. So let's talk about utilities first. So let's go into a little bit about utilities because you own the house, you have utilities. So what utilities do you need to contemplate? So obviously we have our mortgage. Okay.
Yep.
We have our mortgage, you have your taxes, your insurance, your principal and interest payment. We have to think about electricity.
Yep.
We have to think about heating source. So is it oil, gas, propane, electric? How are you heating your house? You're probably, if you're coming from a rental situation, you may have had heat and hot water included in your rent. So you may have never seen that payment. Or again, it's a significantly smaller unit.
Yeah.
So
it's a minimal difference. You're like, okay, it's a couple $100 a month, maybe. Worst case scenario in the winter. Yeah.
Water and sewer, whether it be city water and sewer or it's an owned system. So it is a well or septic, right? What is the monthly or quarterly or yearly maintenance cost on that?
Right.
And then I think the other things that we don't really think about are things like trash is a utility, really. Like,
well, our town does. I mean, I was shocked because we had barrels when I moved in the house, and I was like, cool. So I put them out for a couple of weeks, and they kept taking them, and then all of a sudden, like, they took the barrels away. I was like, what the hell happened to the barrels? And no one told me that we was like, because we don't have town garbage.
Trash.
I grew up with town trash and city trash, so I had no idea this was a thing. You had to pay for your own trash pickup.
Yeah. And you get to, so trash is important. And then things like internet, cable, phone. Who has phone anymore? I don't know. Internet, cable, phone. These are all like utilities. Then you also have things like, do you have a security system?
Yep.
Do you have, now people are kind of moving to more of these like ring type systems.
Yeah, but that still has a monthly subscription, most of those.
Yeah. And so you really have to take a look at your house and say, okay, what do I think this is going to cost? Now, when you are actually making an offer on a house, it is not crazy to ask the seller for utility bills. There are some sellers that are willing to share those with you, and not even like from I'm not going to buy this house over the utility bill, but just so you can budget for it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to ask for that. When I was renting, I asked for that. For some reason, I didn't ask that when we bought the house. So
yeah, you're like, well, and then you also have to contemplate the flux in these bills. So sort of like you said, is that like I have oil heat. It is very expensive from December to April. And then I get like one last fill in April and I don't fill it again until October. Like that expense goes away. But then my electric bill goes up.
Yeah, because electricity.
Because I got air
AC.
conditioning.
Yeah. Well, I thought a lot of that too is there's opportunities to pre-buy. That's something that you should want to look at. We have propane, so you can buy the propane tanks or you can rent them. So there's pros and cons to both. So those are things you should weigh too when it comes to buying a house. Does it make sense to pre-buy the oil based on a specific rate? Can you time that? I mean, that's always tough unless you're like, following oil markets like crazy.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. And then I think one of the big expenses that people don't realize is really the like cable, internet, phone trap that you get into. So I will just tell you like fun story about myself. We live in an area of Glastonbury where we do not have a lot of internet options.
No, we have like 2, right?
Some people get like GoNet Speed and all these like cheap ones. We do not have that. We had Cox and Xfinity. Okay, Xfinity went away.
Yeah.
We no longer had that anymore. We only had Cox. About a year ago, and you just like pay these things, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
We still had cable. Who was watching cable in 2026? I don't know.
No.
We're watching the new cable, which is just where we rebundle subscription services together. That's right.
We're gonna go back to it.
Yeah. We've made the full cable circle, but we were paying like $383 a month for cable, phone, and honestly, lousy internet. Yeah. Our internet was slow to the point where my husband and I would come home and turn the Wi-Fi off on our phone and use our cell because we had like unlimited data, use our cell because it was better than the Wi-Fi that we had. And we were like, this is insane. $383. That's a car payment. Yeah. Like for what? We like did a bunch of research. We actually have Starlink now.
Oh yeah.
As
Elon
our
Musk.
internet. Yeah, we have Starlink. We got rid of all the cable. We just use subscription services. My kids have not noticed. The internet I don't necessarily think it's faster than what we had, but it's definitely not worse. Yeah. And it's like $82.
Yeah, that's much better.
So don't get sucked into like I have to have all of these things, or the house has Cox cable or whatever cable. Yeah. I'm just going to use it. Like, do your research to see what's going to suit you.
And you could always call and be like, hey, I've been, I see these new intro offers, but I've been a customer forever. Like, what can you do here? Like, you can renegotiate those all the time.
Sometimes Cox would not renegotiate with me.
Sometimes
they were like, get out of it. They're like, you will just get rid of all your stuff. They also wouldn't unbundle anything. When I was like, well, just get rid of the cable and leave the internet. They're like, that'll be $290. And I was like, no way. There's no way. It was crazy. But contemplate that. For electricity, there are also other electricity suppliers where you can sometimes get lower electric rates. Yeah. I've never done that before. Have you done that?
Well, we have solar, so I don't really care anymore.
Oh, you could also look at getting solar.
Yeah, there's buying versus renting, so that's a whole other thing. Be careful if you lease, just because if you try and sell the house,
it's very difficult.
It can be very difficult to transfer that over.
We hate
that's
that.
my one caveat. So we did end up buying our solar system, but I love it. It's great. I get a $9 bill a month for delivery, even though I'm making my own solar. So I don't understand that concept. But here we are.
Here we are. Any other thoughts on utilities that people don't contemplate?
No, I think it just, you got to really look at the size difference of place you're going to. I think that's going to be the biggest factor more than anything.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, the next sort of category we have utilities is regular home maintenance. So the things that you have to do month in and month out, no matter what. So that is things like you need to mow your lawn.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to pay someone to mow your lawn? Are you going to buy a lawnmower? Who is going to mow your lawn?
Right.
What do you do? What's your...
Oh, I like getting out there. I mean, it also takes me 45 minutes. I've got my little electric mower.
I have a very large yard.
I have less than half an acre. It takes me 45 minutes.
We have 3 flat mowable acres full of trees. So
Oh.
our lawn situation is we actually, when we first, we had somebody mowing the lawn when we first bought the house, but it's very expensive.
Yeah.
So then my husband bought a used commercial lawnmower, like big ride-on
The ones
Skag.
with like the
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
drums.
fun fact, guys, for those you don't know, we're gonna give a plug to Cofield Sport and Power. That's what my parents do. Is we sell lawn equipment.
Yeah.
So like, that was helpful. So we did that for years, but it usually took my husband 2.5 hours or so to mow the lawn, which was fine when the kids were little. But then when Saturdays and Sundays became filled with baseball and softball and golf, it became harder. So
Yep.
now we're back to having somebody mow our lawn. So there's that.
Yep.
When you have 3 flat acres, we have enormous garden beds. We have mulch around 900 trees. We have big like landscaping features.
Yep.
Okay. So you have to pay to maintain those, to have somebody come mulch, or you have to mulch. Mulch is nobody tells you that like dead shredded wood is very expensive.
It is. I know. I was like, when I first got here, I was like, what is going on with this mulch?
Mulch is
you get there by the
crazy.
yard. It's
Yes.
Yeah, I was like shoveling it out for hours. Yeah, I'm like, this is, and you have to do it like every year because it looks good for like 3 weeks.
Exactly.
And then it dries out and it looks like crap.
And then you could be like, oh, well, people then I'm going to use rock, right? That's your solution. Yeah. Rock is just as bad. Rock gets all over your lawn. You shoot it around with your lawnmower. It never stays where you put it.
Well, because my kids like to just grab the rocks and, move them. Like I was looking, holy hell, my yard was like covered in rocks when all the snow melted.
Oh my God. So we don't have rocks, but our neighbors have rocks.
Yeah.
And when we go to their house, my son, who's 8, still sits in their rocks and like goes through the rocks to find the cool rocks.
Yeah. No, my kids still do that.
Yeah. It's fun.
They're
so
all
you
in
have
there.
landscaping.
Yep.
Okay. So we've like barely touched just the exterior of your home. Okay. You have landscaping. Now we can talk about wintertime. You have snow removal.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to plow?
Yep.
Are you going to pay a plow driver?
Yep.
Are you going to get a snowblower?
Yep.
Are you going to shovel? How big of a driveway do you have? Is it plowable? So I have to say that here in Connecticut, everybody's like, oh yeah, I'll just get my driveway plowed. Do you know not all driveways are plowable?
That makes sense. Because I mean, like we have neighbors across the street. They have like their things like a straight up.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to plow. You can't even snowblow it. So like, but I know there's got to be driveways that are just kooky that can't really be.
I have a friend who has a driveway that like it's very uphill. It goes uphill and turns, and there's a retaining wall and then their garage. So their issue is there is nowhere to put the snow.
Yeah.
So they have to have their driveway hand snow blown, okay, which means a landscaper has to come, park at the end of the driveway, and they have to essentially remove the snow in a certain pattern to get it off of the driveway because there's nowhere to leave the snow up top.
That sounds fun.
And if you saw this house in the springtime, you'd be like, this is the most beautiful house. The driveway, like it's like up on a hill. It looks amazing. You would never contemplate how hard it is to get the snow off.
Oh, I'm sure that's I wouldn't like the only thing I saw my neighbor's house as being like straight up like, ooh,
yeah, like that's a little rough.
Or also because I wanted to play basketball on my driveway, so that's my thing. But I was thinking that's gotta be a pain to snowblow.
I have a super long driveway.
Yeah.
We have a shared driveway situation. So we have a super long driveway. We actually plow it ourselves, but again, not everybody has a plow.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yep.
Our neighbor does that, but he plows right into my driveway, which is fun.
It's your favorite.
Yeah. But we have a small driveway. So I mean, like, so there's some things to say when you're looking at houses. Like, think about some of these things too. Like, how big is this driveway? How long is it? How curvy is it? Like, is it easy to maintain? Like, is it in a good shape? Because now we have to talk about, do you have to retar it or something like that? Because the neighbor across the street had to retar theirs, and that was like $40,000.
Yep. Yeah, we thankfully our driveway was redone right before we bought our house completely. Now I don't know that it was redone like super well.
Yeah,
we've got some big cracks in it, but we had it retard a couple years ago, and yeah, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy. But we have a very long driveway.
Yeah.
So you have snow removal. You also in your yard may have things. You may be someone who wants to get your yard fertilized. You may have pests in your yard. So things like moles or other things like that. You may be paying for a pest company. So you do really have to kind of contemplate, right? What is the monthly cost of all of these things? Because these kind of become like regular occurrences.
Yeah, they happen every year. You have to build it in.
You have to build it in.
Yep.
Then you have like the more annualized things like, okay, you have a septic system. You need to get your septic pumped.
Yep.
How often do you need to get your septic pumped? You need to talk to the septic company. It depends on how big of a septic system you have.
How many people you have.
How many bathrooms you have. How, like when my husband and I first moved to our house, we lived in a 4 bedroom, 3.5 bath house with 2 people for like, I don't know, 6 years. We barely needed to get that thing pumped.
Yeah. Ours is about every 2 years. So that
Now,
helps.
yeah, that's about where we're at, is like every 2 years. So you have to contemplate that. That's sort of an annualized thing. Getting furnaces serviced, air conditioning system serviced,
Yep.
water tank serviced, radon here in Connecticut. Do you have radon?
Oh yes, I do. We had a very big argument when we bought our house.
Oh,
about
was this
radon
like a
thing.
situation for you?
It was, yeah, because ours that's the inspection was like it was so people that don't know radon, it was a 2. Like anything 2 and under is like fine.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But anything over that, you really need to get a mitigation system. We have one. But yeah, there was a big contemplation with our were we buying the house or
When you
not.
buy the house. So we have radon. So most houses in Connecticut, fun fact, have radon. Radon can either be in your water, in your air, or both.
Yep.
We have radon in our water, which is most people in our area with a well have radon in their water.
So do we. Yep.
Yeah, it's a gas. I don't really know the real details of it, but it's like not great for you. But you get these mitigation systems. There was already a mitigation system in our house. Our old house did not have one though. And we don't know if it didn't have one because nobody inspected for it, because my husband bought our last house at auction at foreclosure. So we may have just been like rolling dirty with the radon. But we did not have one in the old house. Well, the new one, you have to get that maintained.
Yeah. You need, because our fan broke actually last December. So we had to get that fixed. That was a cool like $1,000.
Ours does the, do you have a bubble up machine?
It's like, I don't know, it's like a fan with it like vibrates the whole entire house. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
so we have it's a bubble up machine. Ours will sometimes just be like, nah, I'm good, and it'll shut off. And it only happens when you're like in the shower.
Gotcha.
So you will like be in the shower and all of a sudden the water pressure like goes from like 10 to 2 and he's like, and then it's like dripping and you're like, what the, and it means somebody has to reset the bubble up machine.
Interesting. Because we have a tank thing for radon, because that's the one thing about, if you have radon, I would get a tank, because it mists, and that's the problem. Like it becomes air at that point, and now you're breathing in the radon if you have it in your water. So I would definitely get a radon system if you have one.
Yeah, we've got that. We also have a heavy duty filtration system because we have a ton of iron in our water.
Yeah, we got all these tanks. We have like 4 tanks in our house.
Yeah. And you like walk into the like little like utility room in my house. I'm like, I don't even know what all this stuff does.
Well, it's funny because like you watch them fill it up. It's like, oh, these are just rocks. Like they're just like, oh, this is limestone. This is what it is, and it's like $1,000 per tank. You're like, cool.
Yeah, like this is.
Thanks for these rocks. I can't just buy these and just fill it up.
Yeah. So this is stuff. Now, are you a maintainer? Like, do you have somebody come look at your furnace every year?
No,
do you have somebody?
Well, I got a quote for it because we have 2 HVAC systems, and it was like, oh, it's gonna be like $500 to maintain this. I was like, well, something broke like 3 years before that, and it was like $400 to fix it. So I'm like, I'll just let it break.
Why do you have 2 HVAC systems?
I don't know. It's just a dual thing. We have one in the basement, one in the attic, because we have 2. I don't know.
Well, that's weird.
Is it weird? I don't know. It's a 3,000 square foot house, so we have 2 zones, so we can do the basement, the top level, and the bottom.
We have like one. We have like the big square one outside. You know, the like looks like outside a commercial building. One of those, but ours. I have hydrangea bushes around it, which is like not great. So it like sucks garbage into it. So we have to get the filter cleaned. But again, things that like I grew up in a house. I don't know about you. I grew up in a house with in the window air conditioners. We did not have central AC. We had it in the windows. So like it got hot. You put your in the window one. Everybody slept with their bedroom doors open. Like 2 rooms.
No, we never had one. We never had one. But then we got a central air when I was like 12. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my life. Yeah.
And now it's a deal breaker, right?
Yeah. It was. I had like 2 things. It was like central air and a garage. I never had a garage.
Same.
As an adult. So
no central air, no garage. Yeah. So these are regular maintainers.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I think probably, one of the other categories is the OPOOP fund, right? I can't swear. Derek has gotten in trouble recently for swearing on the podcast. Justin has to bleep him out, so I'm not going to swear.
It's my poop mouth.
Yep. But it's the things that you have to expect are going to break. So what are your stories here? Because we all have them. What was like the big thing that broke in your house?
Well, I had quite the month. So I had so the radon fan, actually like 2 months, I would say. My radon fan went, so I had to replace that. Our water well pump was looking really old. The guy's like, you got to really replace that now before it actually like breaks. So you actually have water. It's like, okay. Then with all the cold weather, we had a pipe burst. So there's water all over my garage. Sounded like it was raining. So I had a plumber come and fix that. So I've had a lot of that. I've had the HVAC thing break. Like I said, when we first moved in, we had a lot of pipes, spray out water. And then we also had a lot of water in our basement because, I don't know, it just doesn't have a good flow. I try to seal it up. It still doesn't.
Do you have a sump pump?
We do not. I don't have anywhere to like put it, but just we have like the grading of the house. But I've also noticed that we have our gutters filled with leaves. If it rains too hard, it'll pour over like right in that one area where like it'll so I got, as long as I make sure the gutter's cleaned, we're good. Yeah.
So we've had some doozies. So we have replaced our air conditioning system. We have replaced our water heater. We have replaced our furnace. We have replaced our roof. That's a story we'll get to. We've replaced our roof. We are putting new garage doors in. We resealed the driveway. We redid our deck because we had to stain that the deck was like peeling. That was another fun one. But here's my fun story. I was telling Justin and Derek this before we started is we have owned our house for almost 15 years. We lived in our house happily for 13 years without a drop of water in the basement. Nothing. Dry, beautiful basement. Now our basement is mostly finished. It was fine. It was great. Nothing. Never worried about it. Twice in 1 year. It was literally probably 6 months apart. We had our basement flooded for two completely different reasons. So one was, the refrigerator has the hose that goes into it to give it water. So you can get water and stuff. Well, that hose is like in our basement. You can see it right in the ceiling. It cracked. And sprayed water all over. Thankfully, this was a mostly unfinished part of the basement, but it sprayed water all over the house. And we actually figured it out because I walked in the house and I could smell it. Because you know that like water smell?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is that? And I like said to my husband, I was like, do you smell that? And I do have, for those of you who have not had kids yet, I don't know about your wife. Once a woman has a child, they have like a super nose and you can.
She's the exact opposite. She can't smell anything. She can never tell if food's bad. I'm like, is this food bad? She's like, I have no idea.
I can smell everything.
No.
Everything to the point where it's annoying. I can smell everything. And I was like, something's wrong. And I went in the basement, opened the door, and water is just like in this like fine mist all over everything. So that happened. We have to rip up part of our basement. We paint it. We repair it. Literally like 6 months later, it was 2 years ago. Also in March when it just rained for 2 months. I don't even know. It was like this March where it literally monsooned every day for weeks. We have 2 sump pumps in our basement, one on each side. We never really worried about it. We go to Vermont for the weekend. We come home. It's like 8 p.m. We're all coming in the house and we have like a pantry downstairs in our basement. So I walk down I'm on the phone actually with my husband because I don't know, had to go do something. I'm on the phone with him and I'm walking down the stairs to my basement, not looking, step off the bottom step to sploosh inches of water. I look.
It's my nightmare.
And there is just water as far as the eye can see. I scream, I freak out. And what had apparently happened is we had 2 sump pumps. One sump pump, the like button that is essentially what triggers it, got stuck. So that one wasn't working and it was raining so hard. The second sump pump got overwhelmed and then was like, nah, I'm good, dog, and just shut off.
He's like, I'm out. No,
and
thanks.
So we had to literally gut our basement. We had to call like one of those emergency restoration companies in the middle of the night on a Sunday night with a dumpster who had to come rip stuff out of our house. Because once that happens, you have to get the stuff out immediately or else it molds in like 2 seconds.
Immediately,
So all the flooring got ripped up. We threw boxes, everything we owned away. So it was like, twice. It was twice. And so you can also like be like, oh, well, this doesn't happen at my house, but that's only until it does.
Exactly. That's why you have insurance.
That's what exactly.
Which is another cost.
That is another cost. Our insurance company was absolutely amazing. Shout out to my friend Keith who hooked me up with that stellar insurance policy a long time ago. But I think it's that like, I never thought we had to maintain our sump pump.
Right.
Like, do you think about your sump? No, you don't have one. But like you put a sump pump is just like a part of your house.
Well, yeah, it's like you're supposed to do the job when I need you.
Yeah, why you quit on me now? Why you quit on me now when it's
probably been doing nothing this whole time.
Correct. So I think that's another cost of homeownership that people just don't really contemplate is like those regular things that are going to die that you have to replace. And honestly, the sump pump was not incredibly expensive to replace.
I bet, because they don't work.
Yeah, it was like a couple grand, and I was like, that's it. That's it. But now I had to gut my whole basement for you.
Cool. Now, did you have some questions for the people? I know you shout out some.
Okay. So these aren't really questions. I asked my my favorite Facebook friends about things that surprised them, hidden cost of homeownership. And I got 38 responses.
It's more people that listen to this.
Right?
Podcast.
38 responses. So here is some that people did not contemplate. So getting your chimney cleaned.
Yep.
And people think, well, I don't use my fireplace, but other things come out your chimney, like your furnace.
Bears. I mean, oh yeah. Okay.
Yep. Bears come out your chimney. You have to get your chimney cleaned, especially if you are using your fireplace. You should get it cleaned and inspected. Getting your furnace and AC serviced annually. That helps maintain warranties. So that is important if you have a new a newer system that is under warranty, there are usually stipulations that you have to get it
Well, if
maintained.
carriers listen, then yes, I get it maintained annually.
There you go.
Okay.
We have a lot of pipes leaking. Appliances.
Yeah.
So knowing the age of your appliances and kind of having a backup fund for them. So fridges, stoves, dishwashers, washer and dryer. I will actually tell you, as I contemplate my house, we have replaced every single appliance in our house at least once.
Oh,
all of
not
them.
Yet.
Well, we're on our third dishwasher.
Oh, that's rough.
We're on our
Dishwashers are fun.
Dishwashers are garbage.
Yeah.
They're all garbage. We have a new washer and dryer. We have a new stove. The only thing we have not replaced is, the like above the stove microwave. That guy's a champ. He's chilling. I don't know.
Those things rock.
Yeah, he's gonna stay there forever. But appliances, so that was a big one. Ooh, the cost of having to paint a home, window and door trim repairs. So that's an accurate one. So quick thing, if you kind of have to know as you're buying a house what the exterior of your house is made out of. If it is vinyl siding, you most likely just need to have it cleaned every few years. So you can have people come like power wash your vinyl siding if you get like mildew buildup or anything like that. PVC type trim. I think my husband even maybe talked about this in his episode.
Yeah.
All of that tends to be maintenance free. But if you have wood trim, wood window sills, wood siding, that does absolutely have an annual maintenance that you have to upkeep.
Yep. 100%.
Paint it, and it's a lot of work. Mulch. There's a lot of mentions of mulch. Why do we do mulch?
I don't know. It's the silliest thing ever.
Repaving driveways. That's a big one. French drain pipes jetted. I've never done that before. I don't even know if
jetted
I have
sounds cool. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that means, but that's probably a good one. Pumping, septic, testing well water. I actually had a comment that it's wild to see the difference between West Coast home care and East Coast home care.
Yeah.
So I don't. Those of you on the West Coast probably have different things than.
Well, I mean, my brother lives in California. He does nothing.
Really?
Because it doesn't rain there. He's like, oh, what's winter like? It's like it rains for a week.
Oh my God. You're like, it's been raining for a month.
Yeah.
Faucets are so expensive.
They are incredibly expensive.
It
makes no sense. It's just like a piece of metal that's curved.
I think that's one of the most interesting things about homeownership is the things you expect to be expensive often aren't.
Yeah.
So like a new hot water heater is like a couple, I think $1,500.
Yeah.
It's this enormous thing that does a very important job in your house. You can then buy a new faucet for $500. And you're like, why are you $500? But and you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Water comes out of you. But the thing that actually holds and heats up my water, that thing's kind of cheap.
Yeah, there's no like mechanisms at all in that.
I would shout out to Melissa. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Faucets are so expensive.
Unnecessarily so, yeah.
Furnaces. So there's a lot of furnaces. Removing wildlife from your home. There is many comments about that. So people with like raccoons in their attic, squirrels that get in. We have like the micey problem.
Yeah, so do we.
Can we say this out loud? Because we now both have admitted to it. Everybody has mice in their house, guys. Yeah. Do not feel weird about it. Do not feel bad about it. If you live in the woods, you have mice. And if you live in the city, you have rats. So take your pick. We all have them in our house.
Yep.
They want to be warm and cozy.
I found many dead just like in my basement. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, we pay a guy. We pay a guy, and like the pest people love you all. You're always like interesting folk. We pay a guy who comes to my house once a month to be like, yeah, I caught one. I'm like, I know you caught one. Can you like get it out of here? Yeah, just get him out of here. I did learn, fun fact, that mice can get in spaces that are as small as the tip of your pinky.
That's insane.
There is no stopping them.
Yeah, no, if they want to get in, they can.
They're gonna get in. So that was a big one. Burst pipes.
Yep, had that
burst pipes.
Times.
This is a good fact. So somebody wrote in here, and it's true. Burst pipes often happen in bathrooms under the sink, especially if it's an exterior wall. So leaving the cabinet doors open when it's really cold out can be helpful. So fun fact, do that. We do that in our house. A lot of basement flooding. That seems to be a big one. Ice dams. We'll talk about ice dams in a minute.
Ooh.
HVAC costs, dryer vent cleaning. Have you ever had your dryer vent cleaned?
No, because I saw a video where you just hook up a leaf blower to the pipe and force it out. I did it and it worked.
Did all the stuff come out?
I mean, I don't know if all of it. I didn't have like a little camera that
was it gross?
The pipes. It was gross, yeah.
It was gross. Okay.
But it does, I mean, give it a shot. If you want to do in-between maintenance, give it a shot. It's kind of fun.
Well, and this is just a thing too, is the shorter your dryer vent is, the easier it is to maintain.
Yeah.
I know of somebody who they have a second floor dryer that is vented through the roof. Guys, that is very hard to maintain.
Oh yeah, ours was crazy. We bought a new dryer last year, and I was so mad because they wouldn't install it for me because we had one of those, like, not the metal ones, like whatever the vent is, like the plastic or whatever thing. They're like, we can't do that. It's a fire hazard. I'm like, so what do we do here? And they're like, good luck, pal. And just laughed.
What did you do?
I had to figure out how to install it. I did. I figured it out, but like a lot of YouTube later. This is what we talked about. YouTube is for instructions. Trees. So that is one that got mentioned a few times. So like getting trees taken down. Buying trees is expensive.
Buying trees is expensive.
I'm like, I'll buy an apple tree. Let's see what happens. It was like $100 on a tree. I was like, this is insane.
Did it die?
No, they're still alive. It's only been a year, but I still got them alive.
We had apple trees and they all died. So good luck with that.
Thanks.
Sorry. We tried that.
I'm sure it's not gonna be good.
But yeah, trees, getting how to care for dead trees. Guys, you just cut them down. But you need a professional to
care for them, murder them. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
they're already dead.
They're already dead. More ice dams, lots of. So I did have somebody who actually had a new build in 2020 and talked about like the great equity that was built, but also the expectation that because it was a new build, everything's fine. And that did not.
I've heard that from a bunch of people. I had a client buy a new house. It's like, yeah, I'm already fixing stuff up. I'm like, okay, that sounds terrible.
A couple comments on property tax. We'll talk about that. Leaking washing machine. Replacing the house's various tanks. Who knew there were so many tanks?
Yeah, well, experience that one. Well, I think we should probably move to property tax. We're getting a little long in the tooth.
We are getting a little bit long. Okay, so property tax. So the only real thing I have to say about that is when people close on a house and they get a mortgage payment, they're always like, okay, cool, it will never change. Your principal interest will probably never change if you have a fixed rate mortgage.
Yeah.
The two things that will change, that can change and will change, are your taxes and your homeowner's insurance. How do they change? Your tax bill is the mill rate of your town. The mill rate of your town is usually reset every year. Mm-hmm. We'd like to say it could go up or down.
Up.
But it pretty much just goes up. And it is something you have to be prepared for. So it goes up with the mill rate. It also can go up through reassessment.
Yeah, and that's the downside of the house values exploding the last few years. Like, oh, great, now your net worth is up, but like literally you can't access the money and now you're just paying more in taxes. Insurance is the same thing. Insurance can go up or down, but it'll go up.
It'll go up. And your insurance goes up for a few reasons. Number one, the older your house is, generally the more your insurance is. The older your roof is, generally the more insurance there is. So every year that goes by, those things get older. If you have a claim, okay, and this is, I caution homeowners, if you have a claim, especially a large one, your insurance can go up very high, or you can be dropped.
Yep.
So you should only be claiming things on your homeowner's insurance. Like when the power goes out and you lose the stuff in your fridge, do not go claim that on your homeowner's insurance. Yeah. I see that every time there's a power outage, people online like, oh, you just claim that through your homeowner's insurance. Do not do that, guys.
Well, that's also where having a slightly higher deductible can help kind of like, all right, if your deductible is $5,000, you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna claim $4,000 worth of stuff, right? So that, and plus your annual premiums will be lower. So that's like one strategy to kind of reduce your annual cost of the home. Because if you really should be only doing it for like water in the basement, where it's gonna be like a $30,000 expense, $100,000, whatever it is. So that's what it's really meant for.
Yeah, absolutely. Roofing is currently a big situation here in Connecticut in regards to homeowners insurance. If your roof is more than 7 years old, which is not old in the world of roofs, guys, it can be hard to get insurance on a new house.
Yep.
So keeping your roof maintained, keeping it in good shape, making sure that when it's time to redo it, you redo it. All of that is very important for homeowners insurance, but homeowners insurance will also go up. So fun fact. And then my one last thing that I want to mention is ice dams. We could probably have my husband back on. We had him on before ice dam season.
Yeah.
If you don't know what an ice dam is where it happens in a perfect storm of weather where ice builds up on your gutters because it's warm during the day and then cold at night. And then it pushes water underneath your shingle system and then water gets into your house. It is terrible. It is exacerbated by full gutters. Mm-hmm. So if you have gutters that have a bunch of garbage in them, there's nothing inherently wrong with your roof. There's nothing inherently wrong with your house. It is literally just a perfect storm of crap that happens.
Yeah. Cold weather, warms up enough so it melts a little bit and then just freezes again at night.
Yeah, and you can't predict it. You could have none for 10 years and have a year where it happens the whole time. But it is just something to keep in mind. You may need to have that maintained. You may need to pay somebody to remove it. So yeah, that's my other fun fact.
Yeah.
What else you got? This was long.
It's a little long. But look, I think the other day, not to not buy a house, just going with eyes wide open. you generally you're buying it and you're paying extra for the ability to have control of your house. You're paying for like, hey, your kids to have one spot to live in for as long as you want to have them live there for, without worrying about someone pulling the rug out under you. Just be aware of the cost.
Yeah, and you're gaining equity, which should hopefully be at a higher rate than the money
Yeah.
that you're spending to maintain it. But just don't be caught unaware.
Yeah, because typically the break-even point with most houses is like 7 years.
Yeah, don't be caught unaware. Save your money. Do not spend all your money on fancy furniture and all that jazz.
Right.
All right. Well,
All right.
thanks
Thanks for
guys.
listening. Bye.
Bye.